Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today we are looking at Yelawolf's double album War Stories. So before I jump into reading and the script I've written, when I was researching the album, I took a screenshot of what Genius has to say about the album. So, according to Genius, War Stories is a dynamic double album that unfolds in two distinct chapters. So you have the first half of the album, which is 12 songs under the Michael Wayne side of things, which, for those of you that don't know, Michael Wayne is Yelawolf's real name. And then the second part, which is 13 songs, is Trunk Music Forever. So they say here, side one, in the first installment, Yelawolf reunites with his acclaimed producer Malay, known for their previous collaboration on the iconic album Love Story, which is a great album. This album, bearing Yelawolf's given name, delves into deeply personal narratives and captivating storytelling, with thematic choice of naming the album after his real name, signifying a deeper connection to the content and highlighting the album's more intimate and introspective nature. Whereas part 2, Trunk Music Forever, it says, on the flip side, after a 5-year hiatus since the release of Trunk Music 3, under the Shady and Interscope banners back in 2019, Yelawolf has returned with the highly anticipated successor, Trunk Music Forever. This installment, produced by the masterful Willpower, seamlessly continues the legacy of the Trunk Music series, with beats that resonate with the signature styles that fans have come to love. Which is interesting. And then it also says, War Story captures Yelawolf's evolution, blending his authenticity and innovation with a mix of personal narratives, his signature style beats, and the album invites you on a journey through his musical prowess. So yeah, that's what Genius has to say about this album that we're looking at today. So, as we do with an album review, we will have a little bit of backstory before we go into the album. So, Yelawolf. Born in Alabama and raised in Tennessee, Yella embarked on his recording career back in 2005. He released 4 mixtapes to positive local success, his 4th mixtape being the first in the Trunk Music installation back in 2010, garnered him wider success and recognition, and led to him signing a record contract with Interscope Records. So, discography. Obviously, with Yelawolf being around since 2005, he has an extensive discography. So, mixtapes. We have Pissin' in a Barrel of Bees, 2005, Ballad of Flames, or Ball of Flames, The Ballad of Slick Ricky Bobby, 2007, Stereo, a hip-hop tribute to classic rock, in 2008, Trunk Music in 2010, Heart of Dixie 2012, and Trunk Music 2 Returns in 2013. We then see his solo EPs being Arena Rap in 2008, Trunk Music, which is listed here again, 2010, and Hotel in 2016. So I'm not sure why Trunk Music is listed as a mixtape and an EP. Unless it was like a remaster. I'm not 100% sure. And collaborative EPs. He released The Slumdon Bridge with Ed Sheeran back in 2012, which I didn't actually know, which is kind of cool. We also have Psycho White with Travis Barker in 2012, which was a fairly solid album from what I remember. Blackfall with DJ Paul in 2013, Catfish Billy X Cub Cook-Up Boss in 2017, and then Catfish Billy X Cub Cook-Up Boss Slum Trap in 2019 with Cub Cook-Up Boss. Cook-Up Boss. And then in 2012 we had Slumafia with DJ Paul. Then from there we move on to his studio albums. So we have Creekwater in 05, Radioactive in 2011, Love Story in 2015, Trial by Fire in 2017, Trunk Music 3 in 2019, Ghetto Cowboy also came out in 2019, Mudmouth in 2021, and then War Stories didn't come out until 2024. Along with this, he also has a plethora of collaborative albums. So you have Yelawolf Black Sheep with Kasky in 2021, Turquoise Tornado in 2021 with Riff Raff, Mile Zero 2021 with DJ Muggs, Sometimes Why 2022 with Shooter Jennings, and that's it. That is his discography. Like I said, it is a pretty extensive one considering how long he's been around. And he's worked with some very big names. Obviously, also friends with Eminem. He had a couple really good tracks with Eminem throughout the years, especially there's one on, I think it's Love Story, where they really pulled together a very solid track on that one. But with that being said, we're 6 minutes into this, and we haven't even started the first half of the album, so let's go. So track 1, is Trailer in the Sky featuring Jelly Roll. It's about 2 minutes 45 seconds. So the easy flowing beat behind Yella's laid back delivery and Jelly Roll's soaring chorus is a very good pairing, and it makes for a particularly solid intro track for part 1's like layup for the rest of how the album's going to go. Not too much I could fault this on. Like I said, Jelly Roll and Yelawolf are a very good pairing. I think the beat really suited the style of song and the style of both of their vocals. Lyrically, it's, there wasn't too much to pick out. And I won't lie, I did try not to pick out too many quotes for this album review because of how long it is, but I have done it for songs that I felt were particularly poignant, or points that I thought were very cool and deserved to be highlighted. So yeah. Track 2, we go to Glasses Up, which is 3 minutes 10. The bass in this one is thumping, whilst yet also having a very understated beat. The auto-tune on the chorus is a little bit grating, but it's tolerable for the short amount of time that it is used for. Again, it's a very solid track. There's not too much to say about it. It follows on from Trailer in the Sky very well. Track 3, Make You Love Me, 3 minutes and 15. This has a moody, almost alternative pop sort of style vibe beat. The beat is also very simple, and in the chorus where it's supposed to say make you love me, they cut out the word love and they replace it with a woman moaning. So that was interesting in the chorus. Very different vibe to what I was almost expecting, honestly, on this one, but it's a very good track. Like, even some of Yelawolf's weakest tracks are still phenomenally good tracks, I find. And I'm not saying this is one of those. I'm just saying, this was one of the more, it seemed like experimental type of tracks with like the moaning in place of words and stuff like that. But again, yeah, good. Track 4 is Juliana. This is 3 minutes and 5 seconds, and this was one of my favourites. We start with a slow pace with Yella starting to tell a story, using lines like, She bites like a piranha, the marks left from the claws. My back is trademarked how she displays her as a plot, as a point to which is swiftly followed by she never makes love, only makes art, Juliana. And throughout this entire thing, he paints this picture of this passionate woman called Juliana who, you know, he's enamored by. But she's also not afraid to, you know, make weird comments about other women who she'd be like, I think there's a quote from the song where it's like, this fly chick walks by and she's like, oh, I'd hit that sort of thing. So it's really, he really goes into depth building this character up, building this person up. I don't know if it's a real person from his life experiences or what, but he does a very good job of making that character of Juliana feel real. And yeah, the chorus for the Juliana is lacking a little bit in my opinion, but verse 2 keeps the story flowing. And a line here gave me a bit of like a okay moment. So he goes, with her chest peeking through v-neck tees, I'd make her my hoe. Whoa, wait, that's disrespectful. Or is it? And I was just like, okay, like, got a bit introspective there, and then like doubled down on, is it wrong to call her that? And then it was like, yeah, the delivery of the lines and the interactions with stuff like this and the character Juliana, again, very fun. Verse 3 hits and it paints a bit more of a picture for sure. This is definitely one of the tracks I would highly recommend people listening to off of this album, 100%. Definitely a very well crafted track. We then move on to track 5, which is Marijuana, or brackets War Story. This is just shy of 4 minutes. So the beat of this reminds me of the House TV show, like the opening credits sort of thing. It's called, I think they use Teardrops by Massive Attack, but that is very much what the beat kind of reminds me of for this song. It's a very slow, deliberate pace. Verse 1 is interesting, feeding into a soulfully sung chorus of this really soulful singing. I'm not sure who it is, because it doesn't sound like Yella, but they're just saying marijuana, loked out, smoked out, and it's repeated throughout, but yeah, it's just the delivery of it that makes this kind of feel a bit more grandiose. From there we move on to track 6, Goodbye Morning, which is 4 minutes and 16. This is another very heavy narratively driven track. It's visceral, painting this crime and sex filled story that eventually turns out to be someone's LSD trip. And honestly, I would have gone into depth with it like I did Juliana, but this is more of one you need to hear to understand than me read out random lines for, because I don't think I could do it justice, honestly. From there we go to track 7, Cars, which is 3 minutes and 7 seconds. So we start with a beat that kind of like lingers before Yella comes in with his chorus bridge start, and then we get verse 1 that comes in. It's a solid verse. The second bridge of, seriously though, the only fucking reason I'm rapping again is for the, before it goes into the chorus of, you know, cars, cars, fancy cars. There's a lot of flows and references in some of the lines here that are references to Eminem and older Eminem songs. Like, he deliberately uses like flows that and like lines that I recognize from M's songs, which I thought was kind of a cool homage to him. But overall, I did feel a little bit like this was one of the weaker tracks on the album for me, personally. From there we go to track 8, Looking Over, feat DJ Paul. This was a very short one, it's about 2.5 minutes. The slow beat with whistling over it, um, with this story being told. Then Yelawolf sings this smooth chorus with bleak verses, and it builds like this spiritual story that's being told throughout this very short runtime. And it's a fairly solid track. My only criticism of that one is I do feel like DJ Paul didn't really bring much to the table. I think he had the outro where he was like, I grew up in the PJs or something like that, and he just repeats that line. But yeah. Track 9 on this one is Farewell featuring Struggle Jennings. 3 minutes and 26 seconds. So Yella's done a couple songs with Struggle as well as obviously Jelly Roll now. And I think Yella also features on Struggle and Yella Jelly's what was it? Waylon and Willie 4, I think it is. Their newer album. So to see Struggle and Jelly on the same album was kind of cool. Featuring on here. So track 9 starts with faint strings building a minimalistic beat behind Yella's, again, first verse opening, which is solid, and it bleeds into a very short chorus that, again, has this like minimalistic beat. But then when it's time for Struggle Jennings to kick in, the beat kicks up and it really picks up to kind of aid his raspy, deep delivery. And like I said, this from there, the second verse, which is all him, it keeps that ramped up beat going from there on. After we get like verse 1 and the first chorus in the minimalistic beat. Why is that so hard to say quickly? Jesus fuck. Again, Struggle really fits this song. I like hearing Yella and Struggle working together. Honestly, you could give me a full album of Yella, Struggle, and Jelly on songs together, and I would enjoy the shit out of that thing. Yeah, from that, honestly, not too much to say. After we get verse 2 delivered by Struggle, Yella gets a second verse to himself to end it off with. Very good track. I enjoyed going from the minimalistic beat to the more upbeat beat. Yeah. Yeah, solid. We have track 10, Talking, which is 2 minutes 39. I don't have too much to say about this one. It's a vibey track. The beat feels very old school. Verse 1 was crafted very well. The chorus is very short, honestly. Verse 2 here was kind of also quite that was it. Sorry, I was trying to decipher what I'd written. Verse 2, the final chorus and the outro here kind of drag a little bit for my liking, because I think they repeat a lot of lines in the chorus outro. I should have used some punctuation there, because I just wrote it as a run-on sentence. I needed a comma. Yeah, so track 10 was a little bit of a weaker one. Track 11, we go to Cooking Cocaine, which again, 2 minutes 45. The penultimate track on the first half of the album. The beat feels like a fever dream, honestly, especially with like the chorus, the delivery, which is almost like this distorted and faded out, like slowed down vocal. The story is effectively told in verse 2 again. It's a very solid track, and like I said, they do a very good job of using these like effects on the chorus to make it again feel like this fever dream, like to feed into the druggy like references and talk, and like the subject matter, I guess, would probably be a better terminology to use. So from there we have the final track, which is Legend, which is 3 minutes 16. This serves as kind of like a look at Yella's rise from raking leaves, as he references, to the man he is today. With a stellar delivery, the chorus is understated yet very effective. Verse 2 sees him reel off poignant artists he has worked with over all of his years in the music industry, and I particularly loved that he gave a special nod to Eminem. So he goes, Marshall Mathers, man, the verses I laid with him. I even did a full album with Ed Sheeran before the stadiums, which goes into the outro before wrapping up disc 1 and moving on to disc 2. But I thought that there was particularly nice, giving a shout out to M for all the stuff they've done together, because like I said, they've been very close artists from what I know. Like obviously I've followed both of their music for quite a while. They've featured on each other's songs. Like it's always cool to like see people giving each other the nod like that. And like I said, I didn't even know he did a full album with Ed Sheeran, and being someone from the UK, hearing Ed Sheeran all the in time when he's played on the radios, and I admittedly used to listen to Ed Sheeran a lot. He was one of my more like laid back music sides that I kind of like to put on every now and then, but not as much now. I honestly would have thought I would have stumbled across this Yelawolf collaborative album, especially considering like I have his project, like was it Collaborations number 6 and Collaborations number 5, I think it is, where like he works with a bunch of different like hip hop artists and UK grime artists and stuff. I thought that would have been something I would have discovered in my time, but it wasn't. So I do have to go and look at that. I'm just going to take a sip of drink before we move on to the second half of this album. So, disc 2 starts with track 13 / track 1, whichever way you want to look at it. This is New Me. It's just shy of 4 minutes. The second half starts with a bassy beat with a solid flow from Yella. It's very much more upbeat than the first half of the album. The flow is a bit quicker, but it feels honestly very different to the first half of the album. Like you can feel the production shift. You can feel that there's a different style of writing being used here. Like you can tell this is more trunk music than any other album like style, because like this is the thing with Yelawolf, like the trunk music albums, they have a story sometimes to their songs, but they're more focused on being songs. Whereas I find his other albums like Michael, whatever the fuck, brain farting, I don't actually think I wrote the name, but you know, the first half of this album, Love Story, etc., those tend to have more of an emphasis on a narrative throughout the album instead of just particular songs that have the narrative. But again, New Me was a very solid track, I think, to open up the second disc with. Track 14 is Bad News featuring Kasky. This is a 3-minute and 7-second song. This really feels like old school Yelawolf. It has a grimy, bassy beat, fast bars, fast delivery, good chorus. Kasky is a very well used feature on this one. I like their delivery. It's a fun track. It feels like it's going by way too quickly, being a 3-minute song, but I don't have too much to say other than I loved the track. Like, it was a very good track. Moving on, we see track 15 come by, which is Box Chevy Part 8, featuring Killer Mike and Bob Styles. This is 4 minutes and 11. So, verse 1 is opened by Killer Mike. His delivery, if anyone knows him from like Run the Jewels, smooth, dark, instrumental, complementing his delivery style. Yella drops a very good chorus with Bob dropping verse 2. This artist has a bit more of a deeper vocal range compared to the others. A bit more of an aggressive undertone to his delivery too. Verse 3 is Yella's, which is simple, shorter than the other two. Uh, and it still works very well. But personally, for me, as someone that's listened to, I want to say almost every installment in the Box Chevy series of songs, I do feel like this is one of the weaker installments compared to others. Like, I do think, I want to say it's Box Chevy 4, 5, and 6 personally are the better ones of them all. But yeah, Box Chevy 8 was a little bit lacking, even though it was a very solid track overall. It just didn't feel too much like a Box Chevy one. I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly, like, critical, I guess, of that one. Who knows? Even I don't know what I'm saying anymore. You know. um, we then go to track 16, which is Another Drink. This is just shy of 4 minutes, and we start off sounding like more like a part one track. He says, "Look, really, there's nothing to it. Jump back in this trunk music, yeah." After like this really slow beat, and then the beat picks up, almost like he was saying, like, this is how quickly I can shift from one style of music to the other style that I can do, and it just switches up. His flow switches up. He picks up his pace, and then the chorus slows everything right back down again before verse 2 picks it back up again, and it's like this like dips and valleys delivery style. I think my biggest issue with this song was there was something in the instrumental that, I don't know if it was like a vocal line that they've used in the instrumental, but it was just constantly repeating, and it was quite an annoying, grating sound, and that was my biggest issue. So from there, we move to track 17, Barnfire, which is 4 minutes 23. This starts with some rock vibes, repeated guitar tones, then we move into the hip hop vibe. The first verse is solid, the chorus is very simple but effective. Verse 2 is even better than the first verse, personally. And references Michael Wayne, which is his name, and again, the name of album part 1. The bridge and outros hang a little bit too long for my liking, but that's just my opinion on it. There is a lot of like these lingering outro things where like it's just repeating the same line over and over again, which I know some people don't mind, but to me it just kind of feels like filler, and I'm like, well, if you're done with the song, you may as well end the song instead of having like 10 seconds of the same line being repeated. But hey ho, it's not my track, it's not my music, so that's just my thoughts as a fan of Yella's. Obviously I know my thoughts are going to be completely different to other people's thoughts. So we then move on to track 18, which is Flashlight. This is about 3 minutes and 16. We get a slow 18-second build into verse 1, which is fairly quick paced, which obviously is normal for Yella. He has been known to use like these signature, more quicker style bar deliveries. The chorus is repetitive, and then it really weirdly breaks down into like this death metal, like, yeah, sort of like thing. And I was caught so fucking off guard by that. It was very jarring. I did not expect it, and I sat there like, what the fuck was that? But yeah, verse 2 is equally as solid as verse 1, and then the outro, which is very similar to the chorus, comes in to end it off. Track 19, we move on to Bang Bang Bobby, which is about 3.5 minutes. So this is another narrative driven track. The chorus is a little bit longer than others, but it works very well, especially after verse 1. it sets the scene of this Bobby character being that one friend that is in every friendship group that's a bit crazy, that is always looking for some mischief to get up to, be it going to a party, be it, drinking, drugs, too much sex, those sorts of things. It's a very somber tale of his kind of like downfall of looking for too much excess, I guess. But it is a very good song. We move on then to track 20, which is Tonight, which is about 3 minutes and 10. The chorus greets us after a short intro. It's kind of spacey and it flows straight into verse 1 cleanly, which is a laid back vibe. On this here, we then see verse 2 paint a picture of kind of like his childhood and why he is the way he is now, I guess. But it's also got this like groovy instrumental used in the outro and stuff. It's a very good track. Track 21 is Everything, which is a longer one at 4 minutes and 22. We start this one with Yella saying, I hear people from time to time tell me that I'm underrated or underappreciated, and to a certain extent that is flattering, it's endearing, but I also use it as a source of inspiration to keep fucking y'all up, bitch. And then verse 1 hits. It's moody, it's a vibey track. Yella really smoothly goes into like this old school chorus, and its use of DJ scratching throughout the track I thought was very well. Verse 2 then keeps the momentum ramping right up. The beat is perfect for this type of track, honestly, and it's a very, very solid, fun track. We then see track 22, Bad Motherfucker featuring Presley Vaughan, which is 3 minutes and 3 seconds. The female vocals being used on this one here was a nice change, because obviously most of the features have been men. Obviously Yella is a dude, so to have like that switch up and have a bit more like range was kind of cool. She flows really well over the beat. It's a unique one. This all makes for like a good track overall. I quite like how Presley and Yella's vocals work together. Again, like I said, the beat is very well crafted, very unique. The song overall, I do kind of feel like it could have gone a little bit longer, but that's just probably me nitpicking. Very, very solid track. We then move to track 23, Work. This is 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So Work has an understated beat that holds for 30 seconds before building into the chorus that repeats, that's a boss at work. And then I think he also says some other things in there, but it's kind of like that sort of flow throughout. Verse 1 is really solid, and verse 2 again keeps that momentum going. It is a fairly easy listening track with a repetitive chorus, so that is the only issue. But it's not repetitive to the point where it's grating. It's just like the same few lines repeated for a couple of not a couple of minutes, fuck me dead, a couple of seconds, and then it goes into the next part. But yeah. We then are onto the penultimate track of this part, which is track 24, Ticket. This is just shy of 4 minutes, and this song, I got lost in it, honestly. I had to listen to it a couple of times. From Yella's delivery to how the beat is crafted masterfully, it's a very easy listening track, easy to get lost in. I also like the homage to Beastie Boys at the end, where they used the Kick It from Fight for Your Right to Party. So that was a great touch. Yeah, definitely one I recommend listening to. Track 25, the final track, Put 'Em Up, 4 minutes and 21 seconds. The final track here is basically a highlight of his return to music whilst also reflecting on his journey. It kind of seems It kind of seems, comma. It's got a gritty anthemic vibe, what's really being this like reflecting look at his strengths as a musician. Verse 4 being a big thank you to his fans who never left him, his mama, his fallen angels that are locked in cells, was saying this isn't the last letter he's writing, uh, which I kind of took to mean this isn't his final album. He is making the jump to making more stuff. Was a great touch. Um, Very, very solid end to what has been a very, very solid double album. So, my final thoughts. This double album honestly serves as a great look at Yella's versatility as an artist. Side 1 really delves into his work as someone that can tell a fucking good narrative through his music. Um, like, this dude can craft a rich, yet moody, yet somber, but also so vivid story just in one fucking song, let alone a full album, which astounds me. Like, I know, like, some people always say, like, having a narrative going through your songs is sometimes the hardest thing to keep going, but Yelawolf seems to be an expert at doing stuff like that. Whereas side 2 of this album focuses more on just, here is a handful of super great tracks. Like, here is just something you could throw on, and yes, there's a couple with narratives, but you just sit there, you will enjoy them, and then by the time you're done, that album is done. And you've listened to 13, I think it is, solid songs. It's honestly a great return to form, I think, from Yelawolf. Because, like I said, he hasn't released an album. I think it was like 2019 was the last time he put out an album before this, so it's been a while. For me, I would probably give this a 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. Like I said, my biggest problems with this album were the repetitive choruses and the lingering outros that kind of felt like they carried on for too long. But other than that, I have nothing bad to say about the album. I also like the minimalistic artwork for the album as well, which you'll see on the thumbnail. But with that being said, what are my top 4 tracks if you want to give this double album a listen? So, number 1, I think you guys would probably have worked this one out. It's pretty obvious. Juliana. 2, Goodbye Morning. 3, Farewell. And 4, Bang Bang Bobby. Now, I think 3 out of the 4 are heavy narrative tracks. But that's where I think this album really shines, is the use of narratives. Like, it's just a masterclass, honestly. There's no better way I could word it. So with that being said, if you want to see if this is the album for you without listening and dedicating like the full, was it hour and 40 something minutes, I think, runtime, try some of those 4 songs. If you enjoy some of those songs, you'll probably enjoy the rest of the album. But with that being said, that is the Yelawolf War Stories double album review done. I know this has been a long one, so if anyone has got all the way to the end here, I appreciate you. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, all of that bollocks I don't generally tend to say. The next album, or next video, will be just me kind of like giving my thoughts on Falling in Reverse's latest album, which is a unique experience, we'll say. So with that being said, the only thing left to say is remember to stay safe out there, my friends, okay? Goodbye.